Peace family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I want to talk to my chosen ones about a more lighter subject today, which is how nothing is not a real thing and being bored is not a real thing. And what kind of brought me to this subject today was I had touched base on this, did some content on this a while ago, but I still run into people from time to time, who I engage with in my personal life and people who, I just communicate with on just a more social level. And I realized nothing is one of those go-to statements, kind of like when you see somebody and you say, hi, how are you doing? Or somebody say hi and you say hi back. Now, each culture has its own language, its own dialogue. So the way somebody who is from like another part of the world would say hi or introduce themselves is different than how we would do it. But we have a very robotic structure out here, and you can tell how much you've been programmed robotically by how often you walk into a store and somebody say, good morning, and you say good morning right back to them without even coming up with your own dialogue yourself for your good morning phrase. So for me, I had to practice a lot of practice and repetition. When people say good morning, because I don't believe in the morning that they're using it as. Morning and morning has the same vibration and condensation to it. So, we all move on to our next journey, so I don't even like using that word morning. But I had to put in practice every day about just saying good day when people say good morning, because my first robotic instance is just to say good morning back. That's what your awareness would do to you. And understanding you're a spiritual being having a human experience. If you're not this vessel, that means you have to walk a life and process from within as the spiritual being, not the vessel. So back to this nothing and bored. So when people say, hey, what you up to today? Nothing. I'm not doing anything. What we actually should be saying is, I'm not engaging with this physical realm right now. I communicate with people all the time, and then when they tell me nothing, I always have to remind them that nothing is not really a real thing, because I know I'm a spiritual being. I'm moving on to another journey when I leave here. So in order for me to start moving in a better light, that means I have to start breaking a lot of programs, a lot of spells. Those things were programmed onto me. The word nothing and bored was programmed onto me. So when I process this nothing thing, I understand that if we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? That means that we're always active. You are always active within here. You know what I mean? And it's never too many times where you can actually get that voice to stop, where you can actually get yourself to stop being active in the spiritual realm. So once you understand these things, you'll understand that you aren't living the way of life of the reality that they created for you. So what I mean by that is, you can have somebody living next door to you and you live a completely different life than the person next to you. It's no different than when we using these words and spells, and these spells are real, and then it's forming us into the world of the matrix. So a lot of us want to work on these different things to kind of help us get to a better space, but we use words more than almost anything. So that should be one of the main key ingredients that we're working on, is our words. If you're working on how you talk to yourself, you have to use words. So what better way to actually getting a full understanding of these words or spells, and spells are real, and how they trap us? When people say they bored, it gets me too, because it's like, it's so much to do out here in this reality. Like, I'm always active in here, and then whatever I want to conjure up in here or manifest in here to bring out here, I can do. Now, depending on my resources and depending on the quality of materials that I have around me, depending on how it will actually manifest into this reality. But to be saying that we bored, like for me, I'm always time traveling to the past, figuring out where I can do better at for the future. I stay in the future because I'm always trying to get more clarity on the unknown. The unknown can be a fearful space because it's unknown. That's why we don't like to try a lot of new different things that's out of our comfort zone. So when you travel into the future, that's unknown space. So you have to work harder. It's kind of like moving around, traveling in the woods in the dark time. You're going to find different things to help you operate in the dark time, whether you like, all right, well, these past couple months I was in the dark, I had to figure out a better way so I can get some more vision. So maybe at that point in time, you like, all right, well, if I follow the moon at this certain time, I know it'll give me more light from this angle. Or you make a fire and you're like, you know what? What if I could figure out a way to make this fire mobile, to bring it with me, so that way I have more light as I travel throughout my journey. So the future is always going to be unknown. So you're going to have to work harder, push harder. You have to focus harder to actually see yourself, see these places, these people, these things. Your past is easy. You've already been there. So it's already that place, location, parameter, it's already been created. It already has an energy signature to it. What I mean by energy signature, meaning that when you think of that memory, you either got a really good feeling about it, or you got one of them really feelings about it. I'm not saying a bad feeling, but it's just not the happy, hey, look, I'm up here. Because a lot of things we go through, we're not victims over here. A lot of shit we go through, we were supposed to go through for us to learn the next thing we need to learn, so we can elevate to the next frequency, so that way we can kind of move up in the rankings. You know what I mean? So, and then when you're in the present, we already understand the present is the now. Present is, okay, I understand spiritual being, physical reality. So now I'm going to incorporate myself into the present time right now. I'm not going to focus my energy on the past. I'm not going to process on the future. If my daughter's in front of me, okay, I'm going to focus all my energy on my daughter and the task that we got at hand right now. Present. The present is easier because it's right in front of you. The past is trickier because it's already happened. The future can be scary because it's unknown, but a lot of shit is unknown out here. You know what I mean? So those are like 3 dominant spaces that we go to. So for people to say, oh, I'm not doing anything, or oh, I'm bored, then that means the places that you are going to in your spiritual realm are just not healthy places. They're not helpful spaces. They're not peaceful spaces. You know what I mean? And a lot of people spend so much time running from certain things. You gotta remember, like, when we have certain dreams or travels, because I don't really like calling them dreams. When we have certain travels, it usually continues to reoccur because you're supposed to do something different. You are. So, like, for me, when I was younger, I used to have I'm not, like, afraid of heights, but, anything too high gonna get us all. Like, so I used to always have this one weird travel where, like, I'll be hanging out with whatever people that I was around, and we like doing some activity, and then all of a sudden I jump, like I literally do a baby jump, and for some reason I go all the way up to the sky. When I come down, I'm like in a whole nother part of the world. I had that dream reoccurring. I don't have the falling off the bridge and all that shit, you know what I'm saying? I think the jumping was a little bit more of mastering my abilities and understanding like the powers that we have within us, and then my powers that I have access to. And once I started getting to a better understanding, a breakdown of it, I didn't have that happening anymore. And I realized a lot of that had to do with fear, because then I was starting to be in that travel. I was starting to be fearful of jumping because I'm like, oh shit, I'm just hanging out with my friends. I know if I jump, skip, hop, I'm gonna go thousands of feet in the air, and I'm gonna come down on another part of the world. You know what I mean? And then also, another piece of the fear was coming down. You don't want to break your leg, you don't want to die, you don't want, but it was like the impossible happens in the spiritual realm. So I could do those things and, wake up and still be physically fine. But that was something that was reoccurring. This was like when I was younger, preteens to teenage years, when there was a lot of weird stuff happening, but it was like, it happened so much that I had no choice but to process it and realize, okay, something is happening here. I have to do something differently. So I'm not a runner or a track star. And I know most of us that's here, because we warriors, we're not runners or track stars. You know what I mean? That's why we made it this far in this battle. And that's why I just wanted to bring some enlightenment and some awareness on this nothing thing. When people say they are doing nothing, it really just means that they are not engaging with this 3D physical realm. When people say they are not doing nothing, that's literally all it means to these robots, because they have to continuously be engaging with this realm to kind of feel some kind of gratification, to feel alive, to kind of feel, I don't even know if they feel alive, but to feel like, their blood is flowing, because they do got a heart pulse and all this other stuff. So it's like, with us, we don't have to continuously engage with this realm. So that's why sometimes I could be sitting around in my inner space and my mini will come up to me and say something, and it'll throw me off for a second, and then she'll look at me like, and I don't be mad or frustrated, but I was somewhere else. She caught my attention and it pulled me back over here, and I decided to come back over here to see what's going on. So it's like I was all the way across town, she called me, and then all of a sudden, boom, I'm over there where I was at. So I literally just stopped doing everything that I was doing in here. We are always active. You are the spiritual being within, not this vessel. If you saying that you bored, I would transition that word out, because we are creators. It is plenty to be done out here. It's just you choose to sit in that weird space because the opposition got you sitting in that weird space, and you haven't mustered up enough willpower and courage to get yourself out of that weird witchy space. You know what I mean? But I ain't want to run it up too long. Tapping everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.
It's time.